Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of The Articulate Fly, and we're here for the inaugural episode of On the Salt with GotOne with Captain David Blinken. David, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's so nice to be back here after our podcast a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. So folks that listened to the interview, this was kind of what we were talking about at the end. And, we're going to bring you this series for about 10 episodes and talk about all kinds of great saltwater stuff with David. I've wanted to get a little bit more of a saltwater focus on some of the content around the podcast. And David, you and I were talking before we started recording, and I had seen your Instagram feed this weekend, and it looks like you've kind of wrapped up your season this year on Long Island.
Yeah, it's wrapped up. I mean, there's still a few more fish out there, but I've got a trip headed down to Mexico this coming Wednesday with a group of very excited anglers who can't wait to jump a few tarpon. So that's where I'll be heading to finish my season for 2023.
Yeah, and so how was the striper and false albacore season for you?
It was really varied. It's really interesting, and later on we'll talk about some conservation stuff. But this year the striped bass fishing was very mixed. We really didn't get a striped bass run in Montauk specifically until almost 2 weeks ago. And usually in the fall season, the stripers are showing up around Labor Day, and they're just going right up to December. And the false albacore season started with a bang in the beginning of September. I mean, you couldn't turn left or right without catching one. And then we had a 10-day tropical event that kind of chased them over into Long Island Sound and other places far and wide. And it made for a very spotty false albacore season. And then the past couple of days before, I pulled out my boat. We had a nice little run of false albacore coming through, a few on the North Fork and some at Montauk, but certainly not what we are accustomed to in years past.
Got it. And, I'm not super familiar with saltwater angling, but I do know that the striped bass management issue has been kind of in the forefront of everyone that cares about the resource.
It is. And the folks at ASGA are really working hard, lobbying and working towards better conservation. The numbers this year out of the Chesapeake and the Hudson were horrible. The Chesapeake numbers were the second lowest since records were being kept. And ideally, we would love to see a moratorium on harvest, which means you can certainly go and target striped bass, but you can't keep any. And similarly, we might be, personally, I feel we should start looking at greater conservation methods for false albacore, because to me, it seems the numbers have dropped since I started guiding. And this has just happened with the fish that you can't really eat. It's surprising to see their numbers dwindling, or at least from my perspective, dwindling and dropping out somewhat.
Yeah, got it. And so if folks want to help, I guess I can kind of think of two places they should go. You want to kind of share those with folks?
Well, certainly the American Saltwater Guides Association. It would be very great to be a member and to work with them. If you want to use the GotOne app, you can share your data with Massachusetts, and it's completely, you won't be burning spots. Nobody will be seeing anything. It's completely anonymous. With respect to false albacore, there's a tagging program going on right now that you can go through ASGA, and you can buy a tag, telemetry tag. They'll help you do it so that scientists can track these fish, so we can get a better idea and understanding of their life cycle and of their migration patterns, so we can more effectively see what's happening with these fish.
Yeah, and I'll drop links to the app and to ASGA in the show notes. And one of the cool things is I know Luyen got this feature rolled out relatively recently. If you input your striped bass and your false albacore pictures, I think within the last 2 years, it will basically go and find the related data based on the metadata that's in the photo.
Yeah, it's really interesting. That update was just done a couple of weeks ago, and it's really a lot of fun. The other update he did that's a blast is you can instead of actually inputting everything by hand, you can now use your voice. So that's a really fun thing to do. So you can just pick up your phone, go to GotOne, and use your voice to input all the information you need.
Yeah, that's great. You don't have to get fish gunk on your iPhone.
No, not at all. just measure it, let it go, and then tell the phone what to do.
Yeah, there you go. And we want to give a shout out to our sponsor. This is another project that I'm lucky enough to work on with my friends at Norvice. And this coming weekend, we're recording this early in the week of the 6th. If you're in Somerset, New Jersey, I think on the Saturday and Sunday coming up, the 11th and 12th, Tim and the Norvice team will be there at the International Fly Tying Symposium. You owe it to yourself to stop by and say hi. And if you can't make it there, if you go to www.nor-vice.com, you can check out all the great things that Norvice offers, because the holiday season is coming soon. So either, buy yourself a present or buy one for your favorite fly tire. And, folks, we're going to use the same format that we've used in a lot of our fishing reports and other content we've done with Norvice, where, David and I are going to come on and talk about a topic that we want to talk about every episode. But then we also really want questions, because as you remember on the Articulate Fly, we love questions, and whatever is the easiest way for you to send them to us, you can DM us on social media and make David's life easier. Just DM me at the Articulate Fly, or shoot me an email. And we've got two great promotions. For everyone that sends in a question, you will be entered into a drawing for a Hardy reel and a Wolf fly line of your choice. And then if we use your question on an episode of On the Salt, we will enter in a drawing for a Norvice Vice at the end of this season run. So two pretty great things that we're really thankful for the support, but also a really good reason to get your favorite saltwater question answered by David.
Hey, wait, can I ask my own question so I could get into this raffle? I really want that Norvice.
I don't know. The lawyer in me, David, says no, right?
No, that's okay. Also, I just want to mention that those of us at Masters on the Fly, we don't have our schedule up yet, but we're going to have the American Saltwater Guides Association as our first guest, as we usually do every year. So if people want to, we'll be posting our schedule in about 2-3 weeks, but people can actually be in the meeting, be in the show, and they can ask questions live to our guests from ASGA. So it's a very interactive show that we do.
That's neat. And I know you were telling me before we started recording that your Tarpon trips are full, but you've got some room on some of your other trips. And if you had enough demand, you'd create a trip, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if people want to put a group together, I'm more than willing to host a trip to Campeche, Mexico, with them for juvenile and baby tarpon, and that's a huge amount of fun. We'll post some pictures of those on the site, or you will, I guess. And I've got a couple spots open for an April 10th trip on a wade trip to Akelands in the Bahamas, which is such an exciting little wading destination. But if people, want to put their own groups together, I'm there to help them. So there it is.
Yeah. And so if folks wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way to reach out to you to talk about a possible trip?
They could go to my website, or they could email me at northflatsguiding.com.
Got it. And what if they wanted a ski lesson, David?
They could certainly come over to Camelback in Pennsylvania and ask for me, and I'm there for them.
Yeah. And when will you be in PA?
Well, I'll be teaching there as soon as the mountain opens. I'll be teaching, and I teach there 4 days a week, and I do mostly private lessons, and I also train the staff how to teach folks who come in and want a lesson. So that's my function there.
Yeah. And sometime I'll have to share with you my one and only ski experience when I was super traumatized as a preteen. So.
Well, we hear a lot of that because it's so typical of teenagers to take their friends to the top of the mountain and send them down. And you have no idea how many trauma stories we have about that. That's why us instructors, if we can get people like you who've been traumatized, we can fix that.
Yeah. Well, I would say, unfortunately, it wasn't friends. I just basically, they said, make a V to slow down. And I did make a V. And every time I did, my feet came out from under me. So,
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, more importantly, for us in this broadcast, obviously, we want to make sure everyone's fully informed on whatever saltwater fish they're going to be going for. So hopefully that won't be as traumatic as someone's first ski lesson.
Yeah, there you go. Well, listen, folks, send us your questions, and you owe it to yourself to get out there on the water and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, David.
Take care.